Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He is doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that. In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is today in big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
So that's perception. What about the actual policies?
Well, let's start with the ones that are popular. And again, these echo a lot of what we saw in the campaign. The idea of deporting those in the country illegally continues to be popular. We saw that in the campaign. Sending troops to the U.S.-Mexico border, again, majority in favor. We'd seen that in the campaign. For his supporters in particular, the focus on ending DEI is popular. We had seen in the campaign a lot of them thought those processes had gone too far.
Democrats can't catch a break. As you saw from the intro, Donald Trump has the highest approval rating he ever had in his political history, in his political career. Between the week of February, they said 5th to the 7th. I forgot when the time range of the poll was. You can go back on in the intro to check it out yourself. Donald Trump has a 53% approval rating. 70% of Americans approve of his job of deporting illegals. 59% agree with him sending troops to the border. And what did the Democrats decide to do? Go against every one of these issues where the American people are with Donald Trump. Like, think about it. Like, any common sense individual will know that if Donald Trump is campaigning on mass deportation, I want to push the biggest deportation efforts in U.S. history. Donald Trump said that out of his mouth during the campaign, right? And he wins the popular vote. He wins the election, campaigning on this. Like, Democrats are sitting here pretending that Donald Trump did not run on the fact that he wanted to send military to the border. Democrats want to sit here and act like he did not campaign on saying, hey, I want to mass deport everyone. He said it openly, and American people voted for him. And he's doing exactly what the American people told him to do. Hey, I want to dismantle the Department of Education because of X, Y, Z reasons. Like, he explained his rationale for why he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. Talks about how we spend the most money on Department of Education, $850 billion, just to get the worst education in the world. That's how much money we're spending on the worst education system in the world, based on comparisons with other countries. And Democrats want to maintain it in, like make it make sense. Democrats want to maintain it. Democrats are not about change. They're sitting here lying to you that how they're the change candidate. Then the change candidate comes in and say, hey, let's make some changes. And Democrats are out here uproaring, protesting, but they weren't mad when catastrophes was happening in California with the wildfires. You didn't hear Democrats scream and holler when Hurricane Helene destroyed North Carolina and they barely was getting any aid and help. There was a screaming when Elon Musk discovered that just this week, allegedly, I still haven't do my research on this, but you guys can do your own research. FEMA spent $59 million on luxury hotels for illegals, but they ran out of money when it came to helping American citizens in North Carolina. Allegedly, they said that was false. But look at what they outrage about. The Democratic Party proves every day they don't care about the American people. And they're stunned that Donald Trump is more popular than them. I don't know how many times I have to bring up this poll about the unfavorability ratings of the Democratic Party, but it's at 31%. Job approval, 53% between the 5th and the 7th of February. Many respondents said that the president is going over and beyond in helping this nation, with very few saying he's doing less. His voters know, look at it, tough, energetic, focused, effective. You think Joe Biden would be having this kind of numbers? Hell no. And it goes back to what Scott Jennings said earlier in his analysis. Donald Trump always takes the 80% He'll look at an issue. Let me take the 80% because I know the Democrats will reflectively go to the 20%. And I think I warned about this too. I warned how being blatantly anti-Trump is destroying the Democratic Party. But I digress. Let's take a look at some segments from CNN, and then I'll get back to my commentary. Let's take a look.
Trump is like the 80-20 president. He gets on the right side of all these 80-20 issues. Democrats knee-jerk and take the 20. And then what happens? Today, CBS News poll this morning, Donald Trump sitting at a 53% approval rating, the highest he's ever recorded in that survey. Why? Because Democrats are taking the wrong side of all of these obvious issues, number one. And number two, they're giving him an enormous amount of latitude to move fast and break things, which I heard used in a pejorative fashion. But when you're talking about the government, that's what people want.
Well, and Democrats
also, Trump to do.
Whatever it is that you call it. But on the other hand, the notion of him really accessing personal data, a lot of information, and doing we don't know what with it, that doesn't give you concern?
No, it doesn't, because he's not going to do anything nefarious with this information. It's almost as if you're doing an accounting, a forensics accounting of a company. You need to have access of everything in order to say we should make cuts here, or this is ineffective or inefficient. He's doing what the president has mandated for him to do, in part what the American people expected Donald Trump to do. And as it pertains to Democrats, you know, Democrats have had every opportunity to come to the table to offer a solution to cutting government spending. Once upon a time, they actually believed in that. Instead, all I have heard is whining, complaining about what Trump is doing, what Elon Musk is doing. The American people every single month, Dana, has to balance their budgets. They have to see how much money they can afford to pay for certain things and how much they have to cut back. Why shouldn't the federal government do the same? You would think that my Democratic friends would agree with that. Yeah. And I have seen the exact opposite.
He's not acting, as Scott likes to say, on behalf of the president. He is acting on behalf of himself. And I think people should be very scared about that.
You're terrified that the FBI might have the internet? I mean,
no, I'm
terrified.
I'm terrified that Elon Musk is putting people in federal agencies to figure out business opportunities for him.
I think
and you know
overblown.
That's true,
Scott. This is the richest man in the world. This man,
that's concerning.
And he's like sleeping on on the floor of a government office building 7 days a week in order to help this government. The spending is interesting. We're not going to balance the budget based on these spending cuts, although some of this stuff is patently, objectively ridiculous. And when I see Democrats rushing out to defend some of the things that, that he's cutting, I mean, it makes the Democratic Party sink to very low levels. But what I see him actually doing, and the most important thing he's doing, is enforcing the doctrine of common sense. This was the doctrine that Trump laid out in his inaugural address. What is the ideology of the Republican Party right now? It is best described as enforcement of common sense. We have uncommon nonsense on the left, and we have common sense. And when you look at what the government is doing, agency after agency, and spending some of our money, we're not going to balance it on a $79,000 grant here or there. But we are going to restore common sense, and that's the point.
Well, if Republicans were serious about balancing the budget, then they should put forward a tax package that doesn't explode the deficit. So if we want to have that conversation, we can have it.
Democrats
because
balance the budget
because that's just not where the Republicans are.
You're for higher taxes.
But I think that
you want to continue.
I'm for a tax code that doesn't explode the deficit and actually benefits working people and business, and not just the richest people. Like by the way,
let the Trump tax cuts expire?
Like Elon Musk. By the way,
we're working people benefit after 4 years of Biden and Harris. Absolutely.
I find that clip so funny at the end where they're saying, oh, I'm tired of the Republicans passing bills that blow up the budget, not knowing that Republicans still have to work with Democrats to get something passed. So to put all the blame on just Republicans and then no criticism for the Democrats, where the Democrats were the one who lost the election. They're the ones who's running this government for the last 4 years. And then you're complaining about how the budget got ran over when you see how Joe Biden spent money as if we were in war. Joe Biden spent way more money than Trump's administration between 2016 and 2021. And Trump had COVID when everyone wanted the stimulus check. Like, no one was complaining about Trump spending money for the stimulus check. But Biden doing unnecessary spending that he didn't need to do because he was on the opposite end of COVID. We were getting out of COVID. He spent way more money than Trump did. But the Democrat don't want to talk about that, though. And you wonder why Americans are in favor of having the government cut. Let's talk about FEMA, because I remember I brought up FEMA again. A grand total of 0 major news outlets yesterday reported on the fact that Donald Trump FEMA resolved 80% of all open Hurricane Haley victim cases in Western North Carolina in just 5 days. Not one. Read that again. And you wonder why the American people don't trust the mainstream media. Democrats. A hardworking 21-year-old engineer is too young and inexperienced to work on the government system. Also Democrats, 10-year-olds can know if they are the opposite gender and make decisions to chop off their body parts. Yeah, I think Scott Jennings had it right. The party of uncommon sense, the Democratic Party. And Donald Trump is branding the Republican Party as the party of common sense. And you wonder why your favorability ratings is down the toilet, Democrats. Here's what I was talking about. This is a tweet 53 minutes ago as of me making this video at 5 a.m., 5:57 a.m. at February 10th, 2025. The Doge team just discovered that FEMA spent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants. Spending the money violates the law and is gross insubordination to the president's executive order. That money is meant for America disaster relief. This is the kind of things that Donald Trump exposed. But guess who's defending this stuff? Democrats, making no damn sense. Make it make sense. Not a single one of these a-holes is screaming about corrupt misuse of our tax dollars at USAID. They are only screaming about Trump-appointed mugs exposing it and shutting it down. That alone is all you need to know about the Democratic Party. Never forget this. This is what's driving the approval rating, the unfavorability ratings with the Democratic Party. Americans every day are learning how much money we spend maintaining these illegals. The $59 million with FEMA, that goes into this cost here to maintain them here, because essentially when you come over this country illegally, you're homeless because you're an uninvited guest. Democrats are like these guys are so out of touch. They don't even know they're out of touch. That's how out of touch these people are. This is a reaction to Donald Trump rolling back DEI. And as you saw from the intro of CBS when they were examining Donald Trump's approval rating, why is it increasing? He points out how DEI, many Americans are fed up with DEI, especially Republicans, especially conservatives, because we, as conservatives, we believe that DEI distracts from merit, distracts from our individual's credentials, distracts from a person's competence, and overly focuses on their race, which is, in my opinion, racism. But let's hear how Cory Booker decides to tackle this one.
Elaine Kamarck, who is a longtime Democratic strategist, she co-authored a report on what went wrong, where your party should go from here. She told me this week that Democrats are tone deaf on cultural issues. Is that a problem that you agree with, and should it be changed?
Again, these sweeping conclusions about every person who claims to be a Democrat in America is, to me, absurd. The reality is...
Here it is. Democratic Party, who lost the popular vote. The Democrats have not lost the popular vote since Reagan in the 80s, 1980s. That's the last time the Democrat lost the popular vote. And you think there's nothing wrong. You think calls for you guys being tone deaf is absurd. You guys are on every opposite issue, on popular issues with the American people say, we want mass deportation. You say no mass deportation. We need to save these illegals. We need to call these illegals and say, look, ISIS in the area. You need to run. You got American citizens doing this crime. Most likely are Democrat liberals. You guys are doing this. And you don't think you're out of touch. You don't think you're tone deaf.
As I work in a caucus of 47 people who have been standing up and fighting for the Americans in their state as best as they can. When they stand up and say hiring processes should be inclusive of women and minorities who often don't get in.
We're not saying those people shouldn't be inclusive. What we're saying is you should not actively discriminate against other people to artificially push people into a field. That is not the norm. If a field usually only has 5% black people, you don't say, oh, we need to bring more black people in and make quotas to create an incentive structure where hiring managers, HR recruiters, they feel almost pressured, soft power way of trying to meet those quotas. This is what people are talking about. DEI is racism under new management. Oh, there's too much Asian people in this field. What that implies that you need to hire less Asian people. There's too much black people in the NBA. We need to hire more white people. Oh wait, you have a problem with that, liberal? Oh, if DEI is good for one race, DEI should be good for all races. So we find an industry that's 78% of one skin color. We need more diversity, right? But all of a sudden, DEI, no one wants to push DEI in the NBA. No one wants to push DEI in the NFL. I wonder why. Because DEI is racism. Y'all acknowledge that from the fact that y'all don't advocate for DEI in the NBA. Just be purely on that. You know a man by their fruit. You know an ideology by its actions, not what it claims its intent to be.
An opportunity to apply for the jobs because the search parameters are so narrow and so small that we should look at ways of searching our college campuses for better talent, making sure that we have diverse teams. Why? Because everybody from the Harvard Business School to some of our biggest consultants have shown that diverse teams are more successful at delivering missions. Private sector institutions understand that.
Yeah, they're tone deaf, bro. Hey, look, hey. Keep going. I mean, hey, look, insanity's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's insanity. That's insanity. Donald Trump says, hey, let's cut the government. Let's stop doing wasteful spending, right? Let's stop doing the same thing that's always been done in Washington. Democrats mad, but they claim that they were the change candidate. Look at all these screenshots. Democrats, look at these screenshots. If you're a Democrat, look at these screenshots. First time in Trump's history, something changed. Trump hasn't been president the last 4 years. You had an opportunity to be president. If you guys really did a good job, Democrats, these numbers wouldn't be as high as they are now. Look at this. To deport illegals, 59% approval rating. This is who you're on the opposite side of, Democrats. Sending military in the U.S.-Mexican border, 64%. That's more approval than the deportation. It makes no logical sense what the Democratic Party is doing. The only way all this stuff makes sense is if Democrats' party only looks out for itself, which has been my running thesis since I've been making videos on this channel. My running thesis is Democrats only do things for their political gain and their political favor. They defend illegal immigrants because they know illegal immigrants vote overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. Democrats see illegals when they cross over the border illegally as Democratic voters. So this is why it makes sense then why a Democrat, American, will see ICE in the area and call illegals and say, hey guys, run. My Democratic voters, my political pawns, run. I still need you. I still need you for the census numbers to give me more power in my vote. Give me more electoral power. We need you still in this country. Run. It makes sense why they do the things that they do. Because Democrats are themselves first. Democrat first, America last. This is the Democratic's brand. And every day they prove that thesis right. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Share this video if you feel so inclined. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.